It feels a little strange, given the everything of everything in the world today, that we are focusing on the history of the buildings of this church. But I also know, in the hard times, institutions really matter. In times of personal loss and grief, this community knows how to show up. With the meal train, with the flood of cards sometimes that appears, with knowing how to create a funeral and throw a reception and do all of the things that we do when the worst happens. We know how to do that. And I can't tell you how many times someone says, oh, we need to do a memorial service. And I say, oh, we have teams of people who will help make that happen. And you can watch this like visible relaxation happen. And in the big, hard times, beyond the scale of a single life or a single community, it is institutions like the Progressive Church, like so many others, that help us create the worlds we want to live in, who can speak clearly about what our values are and be of service in the world. And the history of People's Church buildings is in part a history of people showing up in support of our values and using the buildings in which we have gathered to help make that so. So we're talking about buildings, but we are talking about love. So come, let us gather together. Come, let us worship together.
Greetings. My name is Matthew Morris McCormick, and I'm a member of the Sunday Services Committee. I would like to welcome you all to today's service and gathering, especially those of you who are new or visiting. Please make yourselves at home. Welcome all who come with love and energy to share. Welcome to those who worry for the future. Welcome each one who is grateful for today. Know that in this place, you are not alone. In community, we share the strength with one another, and we keep the flame of love burning bright. Know that in this place, responsibility is shared. Here, tradition holds us. Ancestors speak to us and shine a light from the past. Here, the young lift their bright faces and beckon us onward. Take my hand, and we can go together.
A few announcements as we begin. Our mindfulness class continues today at 12:15 in room 9. That's the Buddha room, kind of directly behind where I'm standing. This Thursday, beginning at 11 a.m., we are having a cleaning party, put party in heavy quotes there, here at the church. Our custodian isn't able to work right now, so we will be doing it ourselves for a little bit. So if you are free in the middle of the day on Thursday, please come join Eli and me and whoever else shows up and bring a vacuum if you can. Next Saturday evening, there'll be an actual party, a game night, and potluck right here in this room from 5 to 8 p.m. Everyone of all ages is welcome. Bring a game and some food to share. Next Sunday, the focus of our gathering will be on Our Whole Lives, the comprehensive lifespan sexuality education program that we offer here. The service will be presented by me and a few of the graduates and participants in the program. And after the service, we will have the parent and child orientation for the 5th and 6th grade Our Whole Lives class that will begin in March. So if you would like your child to participate and haven't yet told our Director of Religious Education, please tell her in the next few days so we know to have enough food and everything on hand. Our stewardship season is coming in March, and we are looking for a few more folks to host people, either in their home, at the church, or in another place where uninterrupted conversation is possible. And we will be having these small gatherings where people, where as the host, it is not your job to ask people for money. It's your job to just be a nice host. And other people will come in and talk about our church's financial realities and why we need all of us to keep this church going. So let me know if that's possible for you. And our auction will close in just less than a week when the service starts next Sunday. We have already broken our sales record from last year. Good job, everybody. Yeah. And we need to keep going. But thank you to everyone who has bid so far and everyone who's offered goods and services. Because I know it sometimes feels weird to outbid other people, we don't try to cultivate that sort of, ruthlessness here. Just want to give you my permission to channel that energy into the auction if you want to, right? Outbid each other. It's fine. It's all for a good cause. And if that still feels weird, I wanted to highlight a few things that, at least as of a couple of hours ago, didn't have bids yet. So there's some beautiful wall art and ceramics. There's a couple of house concerts and tickets to concerts in the community. There's a chicken coop, a crocheted octopus, a golf swing practice vest. And there's a lot of spots at events, at gatherings or meals that still are still available, including a guided kayak and canoe trip on the Kalamazoo River, a writer's soiree, a Mario Kart tournament, classes and gatherings to learn how to knit, how to embroider, how to do needle felting, how to make cows and blankets, and how to take care of your house from an HVAC professional. There's a poetry breakfast and a science investigation for elementary school kids. So I heard murmurs. Turn those murmurs into bids. All of our bidding is online, so you can follow the link in the weekly email that you hopefully received. If you don't receive that, let me know. We'll get you on the list. Or in the foyer, there are bid sheets with QR codes that link you to the church auction. And there will also be people to help you if that is not easy for you. Someone will be there who will help it be easy. And you can just call the church office and say, I want to bid this much money on this thing. And that we'll take it that way too. Okay, now we get to sing. Thank you all.
Good morning. I invite you all to rise and bow to your spirit to sing with the choir this morning. We're going to be singing People of Hope. It's hard to believe in the sun in the dark of the night, and it's hard to believe in the stars in the bright morning light. Well, we all need a place we can go to learn what is real, to ponder the depths of the soul where truth is revealed. This is our place. This is our home. Working and seeking, we're never alone. In this mortar and stone, these windows and walls, love's earthly home, heeding the call. It's bread for the journey, oil for the flame, for people of love, people his love in hate's raging throng. But for every brave soldier, a peacemaker takes her own stand. And for every soul long turned away, there waits a new hand. Oh, let it be you. Let it be me. Herein love's dwelling, we learn to believe. In this mortar and stone, these windows and walls, love's earthly home, heeding the call. It's bread for the journey, oil for the flame, for people of love, people of hope, people of change. When a place is what welcomes you in, you build it, you change it, so the promise of love can begin here in this room, here in these halls, hearts open wide, welcoming all. In this mortar and stone, these windows and walls, love's earthly home, heeding the call. It's bread for the journey, oil for the flame, for people of love, people of hope, people of change, for people of love, people of hope, people of change. We're living out love, living out hope, living out change. And sing out for love, sing out for hope, sing out for change. So now I believe in the sun in the dark of the night. Thank you.
I would like to invite Sophie up to help us light the chalice, please. The words for the chalice lighting are from the Reverend Michael de Vernon Boblet. Our house. May the walls of this house be strong in the face of storms, whether of winds or of words, whether of thunder or of tyranny. May the windows of this house be clear to the world's light, whether of dawns or the daring, whether of sunsets or of stillness. May the foundations of this house be firm upon the good earth, whether of soil or of sharing, whether of bedrock or of behavior. May the doors of this house be wide to all that come from afar, whether poems or people, whether songs or strangers. May this house embrace, like a graceful chalice, the flame it cannot define or limit, as a heart enshrines hopes larger than its beating walls.
In addition to those of us gathering here in this space today, we have 26 devices with people behind them connecting on Zoom today, and countless others who will be watching this on YouTube on a later time. So in addition to our chalice flame burning here, we have chalice flames in the Millwood neighborhood, on Doster Road, in Parkview Hills, Millwood, Ann Arbor, Eastwood, and Lawton, and Portage. What a gift to be together in spirit, even if we are not all together in one place or in one time. I now would like to invite children forward to explore an artifact with me today. So, I am so glad you're with us today. Can you guys see what this is?
A shovel.
It's a shovel. A boring old shovel. Well, that's what you think now. It might become an unboring old shovel soon. I don't know. Why do you think we would take a shovel and put it in a special glass case like this? My kids, I think, already know the answer. Anybody else want to guess? What do you think?
Because it was used to build this place.
Because it was used to build this place. Oh, I love that. What about?
Because it was the shovel that first broke the ground. And also, I do not understand why people glorifize items.
Okay, so we're saying that it's the shovel used to build this place. Maybe the shovel that first broke this ground with a added on that I don't understand why people get so precious about items like this. Okay, Leo?
It's very old.
It is very old.
And fragile. That's why you have to put it in a special case so it doesn't break.
I don't know actually how fragile it is as a shovel, but it is in a special case. DeForest, do you have something you want to say?
It's very special.
It's very special, with only a little bit of sarcasm in that statement. Okay. So someone said it's old. Does anybody want to guess how old this shovel is? Leah, what do you think?
50 years old?
50 years. Oh, older than that. Mara, what do you think? Older than 100 years. What do you want?
150?
Not quite that old. Okay. So this shovel, I'm going to open it up a little bit. See, we can look at it. We're not going to touch it because I worked in the archives and seminary, and the archivist would not let us touch anything. No, even though it probably is strong enough to withstand some hand oils. So this shovel we know it goes back to at least 1894.
It still has dirt on it.
I know, it still has some dirt on it. I don't think that's from the 1894 dirt, though. So People's Church used to have a few different buildings and a few different gathering places than what we have now. I know, this building we've only been in since 1970. And there are people in this room that are even older than 1970. I know. But there's no one in this room who's older than 1894. Mara, do you have a thought?
Yeah.
Yes, your parents told you that People's Church used to be downtown. So we had a couple of buildings downtown, and one of them was built in 1894. And this was the shovel used at the special ceremony where they broke the ground to start the construction. And then this was the shovel used much later in the 1950s when they added a special building for religious education classes because there were too many kids at the church to fit in the church anymore. And so they added a special building. And then there were still too many people and too many kids, and the building was starting to fall apart. So they used this shovel when they built this building in 1970. So if we ever build another building, I think we'll have to unscrew this shovel from its special holders and its special case and have a ceremony. But we're not planning to build another building anytime soon. What?
Should probably put more preservatives on it.
You think it needs more? You were the one who said we shouldn't be so precious about objects, and now you're saying we need to put more preservatives on it? You think this is not secure enough? If you want it to survive? I mean, I think it's in pretty good shape. I think shovels are pretty hardy.
There's a thing on the handle.
There's a little bit on the handle. You know, there's some I don't know what it is.
Probably dirt. No,
There's white on the handle.
Rotten.
Maybe. I don't know.
probably white dirt.
White dirt.
Okay. So when I'm going to be telling the grown-ups more about these buildings, including the one that was built in 1894. And so if you want to learn more facts about what these buildings actually did and who was gathered in them, you might want to talk to your grown-ups later. But right now, it's time for you guys to go to your classes. Thank you for helping me explore this historic shovel. Go forth in peace.
In search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way. And may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go. Go forth in peace, in search of wisdom, with love to guide you on your way. And may the joy of life surround you wherever you may go.
People's people are generous people, and that is not a new story. In 1894, Silas Hubbard, a member of this congregation and the founder of the Kalamazoo Paper Company, made a gift to this church. Money to be used to build the new building, the new then building, at Park and Lovell in downtown Kalamazoo. He gave $20,000, which when I put it through an inflation calculator, one of those online tools, said it was $750,000. He gave the gift under one condition, that the church change its name to People's Church. It had been called the First Unitarian Society of Kalamazoo. I think there was some collusion with the minister on this, but I don't actually know. But the church did vote unanimously to change the name. And upon giving the gift, he said, I am inspired to make this donation because this church has influenced me to give up tobacco and alcohol, which has probably saved me twice the amount of my gift. I don't think there's any way that that can be factually true, but it is a great thing to have said. There's a lot that Silas Hubbard wouldn't recognize about our church. Its location here, for one. He didn't actually live long enough to see the 1894 building fully completed. He would probably be horrified that the minister's husband manages a brew pub. But he would recognize our name. He would recognize the bond of union that members sign because it is largely the same as what he signed then. And he would recognize our spirit of liberal religion in Kalamazoo and commitment to being one of love's earthly homes. So now I invite you to carry forward this legacy of generosity so that people's people in 130 years will be telling our stories too. The offering will now be received.
Please join me in giving thanks for all that sustains us. From the countless gifts we have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love which none of us can accomplish alone.
People's Church is a community that cares for one another. One of the forms this care takes is during our gatherings, we invite people to share the joys and sorrows and milestones of their lives. If you are with us on Zoom this morning, I invite you to type what you wish to share into the chat box. If you're here in person, I invite you to come forward, place a stone in our bowl of water, speak briefly, and remember to tell us your name. Now I place a few more stones for all of the joy and sorrow we're holding quietly in our hearts today, the joy and sorrow in our wider community and our wider world. Sources of reason and radiance, sources of courage and compassion, keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this day. May the suffering be soothed. May the weary find rest. May the sick be tended. May the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded. May all of us know we are wrapped in a love that surrounds us always, a web that connects us to all that exists. So for our meditative practice today, I'm going to lead you in a brief body scan meditation. This is something that I see all of you adjusting your posture in the room. You know what's coming. This is something that I was first taught as a small child when I couldn't sleep, and now use with my own children when we are up in the middle of the night. And you can go as fast or as slow as your body needs to. Sometimes relaxing your body, finger by finger is what you need. Sometimes it's not in that level of detail. But I invite you to take some smooth breaths and settle into your body. And then bring your attention to your feet and lower legs. Send gratitude to that part of your body for all that it does. And then notice if there's anything uncomfortable. And do what you can to relax your feet and your lower legs. Then bring your attention up your body to your knees and your thighs. Send gratitude and notice if there's anything that's uncomfortable, any tension that you're holding there. And exhale it from your body. Now bring your attention to your hips and your groin and your belly. Send gratitude to those parts of your body. And notice if you're holding any tension or discomfort. And do what you can to release that. Shift, make yourself more comfortable. Exhale the tension. And now bring your body's attention to your back. Treat it with gratitude. And notice what tension or discomfort might be there. Shift as you need to. And exhale. Now your attention, bring it to your hands and your arms. Notice any tension or discomfort. Think of your hands and arms with gratitude. And shift as you need to. Unclench as you need to. And exhale some of that tension away. Next, bring your attention to your chest and shoulders and neck. Approach those parts of your body with gratitude. And notice if there's anything uncomfortable or tense or sore, and adjust as you can. And exhale the tension that you can. Next, bring your attention to your head and your face. Be grateful for your head and your face. And notice tension or discomfort. And adjust as you need to release some of it. And finally, bring your attention to your whole body. Be grateful. And know that there is probably still some tension or discomfort. some pain perhaps. And continue to do what you can to relax your body, to release what you can release. Continue to breathe smoothly and gently.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
This reading is called A History of Church, including yours, and it is by the Reverend Sean Neil Barron. One day, your church was born. Maybe it was a gathering of saints called together for the common worship of a wrathful God, ceaselessly praying between bouts of decrying the evil of Christmas or dancing. Or maybe a few brave souls answered a notice in the newspaper, curiosity piqued by the announcement of a religion where free thinking and tolerance were bedrocks. No matter how it happened, your church was born. A gathering of people, humble, caring, anxious, and quirky, all at the same time, who covenanted to be with one another on the journey of life, death, and everything in between. And so it began, a faithful few, beautifully imperfect, called to that central task, that human task of connecting, loving, and serving. It was just a baby, and yet it was thrust deep into the human condition, tasked to hold minds and souls, bodies and hearts along the roller coaster of disease and birth, infighting and joy and Christmas pageants. Sometimes all of those at the same time. They gathered to hear the world broken open for insightful sermons, rejuvenating music, and a community whose fierce devotion to each other's well-being rivaled a mama bear's for her cubs. But it wasn't always like that, of course. There were the trying times, and I don't just mean Phyllis or Jack, whose stubborn but lovable souls who inhabit the netherworld of committees. No, I mean the trying times, when the church almost split in half over the war or integration, or when the mill left the town vacant, or when the minister crossed that line and the people couldn't speak about it for decades. But somehow you were still here, still on the town common, still the church that everyone recognizes, still the ones that show up every time you're called on, still using the communion silver until you voted. New people came and they changed things. Small things, big things, things that nobody noticed as it happened. And suddenly it was hard to even recognize anything anymore. That was a hard moment, a tearful moment. And other things changed too. The proclamations about God, once heard loud from the pulpit, softened. Wrathful became loving. Distant became intimate. Mandatory became optional. After the war, the nursery and RE classrooms were overflowing. Each baby dedicated reminded the church of the incredible beauty of life and the gift this community, all huddled around baby, would bestow upon this child. The history of your church is more a story of the determination of love to break forth than it is about the shirts of tie-dye or chalices, sermon discussions, or social justice committee meetings. The history of the church is the history of human enterprise, evolving in its sights and sounds, yet revolving always around its core. The history of your church is the gift of potential and momentum, of baggage and personality. The history of your church is the launch pad from which you spring into action or disarray. Each day, your church is born.
God Found God by Cynthia Rylant. It was the weirdest thing. God got all religious on herself. She was looking for something to do, so she went into this church in Boston. One of those churches from the 1800s that likes to consider itself old. This always gives God a good laugh. And she was all by herself, and it was quiet like you wouldn't believe. And up to the sky went these beautiful rafters, and all around her were these beautiful stained glass windows, and everybody was praying. All the people in the pictures, all the statues, all the angels in the room were praying. God knew better than to look at any of the crosses. She was still trying to figure that all out. But she knew that she had actually found a holy place. So she dropped a coin in the building fund box before she went away.
I invite you to stretch upward in your seat to sing this next song together. May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart through all the world grow chill will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
When I began as the minister here at People's Church almost 11 years ago, I noticed that the image on the front of the order of service every week was a picture of the building. This was at least 3 order of service designs ago. It made sense to honor the building that way then. You all had just completed a major building campaign and were still paying off the debt. And it is also true that the building is not the core of who we are, then or now. So I started mixing in some other images. Maybe some of you remember this. Things related to the service topic or a picture of some of the art on our wall. I eventually had us use most weeks the image of Donna Grath's beautiful World Religions quilt that we have on the wall. It felt important to remember that our building is not our core. Our building is not what binds us together. It is our values and the promises we make to each other in our covenants and bonds of union. And we all learned this, right, in ways that we never expected to when the COVID-19 pandemic led us to worship on Zoom and outside for several years. We were not bound by these particular walls. And now people join us on Sunday mornings from across town and around the world. We are not bound by this building. And this building allows us to care for each other and the wider world. So today I'm telling part of the story of the People's Church buildings, these mortar and stones, these windows and walls, that we aspire to make love's earthly home, or one of love's earthly homes. There should be a lot of them. When our religious ancestors, the founders of what became People's Church, first gathered in 1855, they met in the Central Fire Station. The station was on Burdick and Lovell downtown, where the Epic Center is now. And as their size and needs grew, they moved their meetings into the courthouse, which was on Michigan and Rose, where the old courthouse is now, but we're talking 2 buildings before the one that currently stands. It's wild to imagine church in a courtroom, I think. I don't think they'd let you do that anymore. Before long, they decided they needed a building of their own and constructed a small church on South Park Street. We have a drawing of that building that Reed's going to show right now. This is part of a series of line drawings of the church by Oswaldo Baez. We have them hanging up on the wall in room 9 if you want to look at them more closely sometime. So members donated lumber and shingles and stained glass windows and so much labor to the cause. Kalamazoo was a mill town then, and so there were lots of members who worked in the local or owned the local lumber mills, and so they would give from what they had. The Women's Club did sewing for fairs and sales and hosted dinners to raise money for the construction. I like to think of that as the original origins of our church bazaar, although, of course, we can't draw a direct line. In May 1863, this building was dedicated, and it was described at the time as a bright, cheerful room in which to worship. That building served well for a while, and then it didn't. In 1889, People's Church, or what would become People's Church, called Carolyn Bartlett Crane, the namesake of Bartlett, our jet pig, to be the minister here, and the church grew rapidly. Some of it was that she was an inspiring minister, and some of it was a true novelty to have a woman preacher then. Sometimes it is still now, but not here. And so in an era before a lot of other sorts of entertainments, people would come to People's Church just for the spectacle of seeing a lady preacher. And then they would stay. Within a few years of her arrival, the church had outgrown their small space and was meeting for worship in the Academy of Music building, which was Kalamazoo's Opera House, which was on Rose Street across from Bronson Park, a block north of where the Central Library is now. So a new building was needed, both for Sunday services and for the ambitious plans Carolyn Bartlett Crane and her congregation had for the community. With the lead gift from Silas Hubbard I mentioned earlier, and the unanimous vote to change their name to People's Church, they got underway. Land was purchased at Park and Lovell, and the cornerstone was laid in 1894. Can we see the picture of that building? So the stone, the cornerstone that says People's Church on it, is now in the grassy area of our parking lot right by the accessible parking. So as you walk in or leave, you can check that out. So this is at Park and Lovell, which is where at the lot that is now the Ladies Library Association parking lot. If you go to that parking lot, I cannot figure out how a whole building fit there. Like I don't have great spatial intelligence, but I can't do it. So the interior of this building was designed by Carolyn Bartlett Crane, the minister herself. She drew up what she wanted and then told an architect to put a shell around it. So the sanctuary sat over 500 people and had a balcony, and there was a series of parlors for smaller gatherings. In addition to the lead gift from Silas Hubbard, the congregation gave funds themselves and had a series of choir concerts to raise money for this building. The People's Church of this era had a vision of being a church for all of the people in Kalamazoo, and the building was designed for this purpose. So in addition to worship and church programs, the building did so much for the wider community. It housed one of the first kindergartens in Michigan until the public schools said, hey, that's valuable, maybe we should run that. It housed a Black Literary Society, a women's gymnasium. The men could go and work out at the YMCA. They had classes in household sciences and Eastern religions and a trade school where young men could learn carpentry and other skills. The church also offered what they called a Sunday morning kindergarten, so parents and caregivers could drop their children off at People's Church and then go worship at whatever of the downtown churches they pleased. The church also hosted regular evening meals, especially in the 1910s and 20s, for the young women who worked at the local mills and the Kalamazoo Corset Company factory. So these young women mostly were from the outlying farms, and they would move into town for a few years and live in rooming houses and work at these factories. And there was no respectable place for them to eat and socialize. There was only taverns, and that would be a scandal if they had been seen in a tavern. So the church served up to 160 meals a night, every night but Sundays, to young women who needed a place to gather and eat with their friends. We even shared the building for a time with our friends from First Congregational Church for 3 whole years because their building burned down and they needed a place to be until they could rebuild. And beginning in the late 1930s, the building housed the minister and his family, Mr. Palmer. In the depths of the Great Depression, the church could not afford to pay their minister a living wage, and so they came up with the compromise of having the minister and his family live in the building to save on housing costs. He also picked up the janitorial work and did a lot of repairs to the building. Do not get any ideas about this as a viable option. I can't even imagine this, but apparently it mostly worked. In maintaining the building, he was also supported by a regular men's work nights. And this is the point where we're starting to reach the living memory of our congregation. We have a few church members who remember Mr. Palmer, who died in 1957. Oh, 1956. I was just fact-checked. Sorry, 1956. So the end of 1956, almost a week from 1957. By the late 1950s, the nursery and religious education classrooms were overflowing. Some of you here were among those kids who were overflowing the rooms. Some of you I know in our congregation remember having your classes in a spruced up coal bin, and there's only so much a coat of paint can do for the coal bin. An education building was added, taking up the few remaining parking spaces on that lot that somehow still had room for parking. I don't know how any of this worked, but that was only a stopgap solution. So there was talk of remodeling or refurbishing this building, but because of deferred maintenance and some other factors, that was prohibitively expensive. In the middle of the 1960s, the decision was made to move. So the board voted 19-1 with only the minister, Roger Greeley, voting against the move. The minister doesn't get to vote at board meetings anymore. I don't think that's related, but it's interesting to me. So 14 acres of land were purchased way outside of town on 10th Street, and a building was constructed. In the interim, the church rented office space on West Main and gathered on Sundays in the West Main School. This is the first building I've named that still exists. So this is the building that's now the Kalamazoo Public Schools administrative building on West Main, across the street from Zurona, Saffron, and Tiffany's, or better known in my nearby neighborhood as a really good place to learn to ride your bike because the parking lot is empty on the weekends. And in 1970, the congregation moved here to 10th Street. So we finally made it to our current building. But that does not look like our current building. There's an outdoor stairway to reach the main entrance, which is really a choice in Michigan. No insulting to the design people, but it's a wild choice, as we've been dealing with all the ice and snow over the last months. So when, on the first Sunday in this building, the walls were all gray concrete block, the building, there was no carpeting, it was just a shell. And there were 173 kids who came for religious education that day, right? So it is a good thing that we didn't have the kids consistently in the services then, because there would be no room for adults in this room. Over the next years, people made this building into a home. A recipe book was created and sold to raise money for the carpeting. People volunteered to paint the walls. The minister in those years, Roger Greeley, loved creating audiovisual displays during worship. So this room was built the way it was to make that easier. So these screens had these reverse projection things. This is before you could just PowerPoint things. You had to cut the slides and time everything, and it was very elaborate. So they had all of these audiovisual presentations, which they called montages. And we still have some recordings of a few of them. They're very sweet. But someone said the windows were not in here because that would wreck the projection. And someone in that era said that when entering this room for the first time, they weren't sure if they were here for church or to play basketball. Had the feeling of a gym. Being outside of town changed the possibilities for how the church could use its building to serve the community. And we still found ways. We hosted our Reformed Jewish friends from Temple B'nai Israel in this space for 19 years. We were an early meeting place for Phoenix Community Church, a Christian congregation with a special ministry to serve the LGBTQ+ community. We were the home of a Head Start preschool classroom and more recently a homeschool collective. During our COVID shutdown, we transformed this room into a gathering place for furniture and other household supplies for newly arriving refugees from Afghanistan. So many community groups hold meetings here, from just in the last few weeks, historical sword fighters, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Western Michigan University, Indivisible, and random birthday parties and gatherings of all sorts. The needs of our wider community are different and our capacities are different, but we are finding ways to meet them. You all had a lot of joys and sorrows, so settle in, because I still have quite a bit to say. We're still 40 years in the past, 50 years. Being here not in the center of the city made it possible to have grounds, including our memorial garden, which began in 1988, our labyrinth, our playgrounds, and our woods. Slowly, as nearby parcels of land came up for sale, we purchased them, or people purchased them for the congregation. So we expanded our property to over 20 acres. Sometimes I think that we are a park just with a church in it, because there's so much beauty here. and what a gift this space is to ourselves and our neighbors. My office looks out on one of the children's playgrounds, and so I get to see children that I don't know yet coming here to play. What a gift that is. In 1980, this church building was struck by a tornado. I was told that it rolled up the roof like the top of a sardine can. And the church lawnmower apparently disappeared, never to be seen again. So the church, under the leadership of a number of people who are in this room today, including board president Connie Ferguson at the time, rose to the occasion. People brought tarps and lumber to seal the building. Mark Gernsback, who is here in this room, and Denise Villette were among many who helped rebuild the roof. They brought their baby, Zoe Villette, onto the roof with them in a playpen so they could work, which is not recommended, but she turned out fine. Because of the labor of so many church volunteers, the insurance company paid thousands of dollars directly to the church. Connie told me this morning about how before they could really secure the building, people would stay here all night. And so there was campouts of people in the building just making sure they could keep it as safe as possible. The roof, though, has never been the same. It was leaking again soon after. The church joined a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the roofing materials and won and received payment to help with repairs, but the roof still leaks occasionally in this part of the building. Flat roofs in Michigan are a challenge, and it's only through the constant vigilance of our building and grounds crew that we are not navigating between puddles in this room right now. Now we're reaching 1995. A few more of you will remember this church then. The building was starting to show its age. The interim minister started dropping not very subtle hints about how you might want to spruce things up a bit before the new minister comes. And so a team was convened and spent 2 years exploring possibilities. That's when the church got these windows and these lights. The foyer was expanded, and that momentum then carried into a remodel of the kitchen. I don't know exactly what the kitchen was like before, but I know everyone hated it who had to cook in it. And now it's reasonable. We got our kitchen indexing system at that moment. And Fred Campbell, that interim minister, also built the pedestals and the first version of the stairs that we have in our space. And then, as the story goes, we were outgrowing our building once again. We had different needs. So we built an addition onto this building in 2012. We added on the classrooms and offices and bathrooms and elevator on the south side of the building. So when you leave this gathering space today, if you look left and see the double doors, everything beyond that is new, or newer at least. Now everyone of all abilities can enter through the same door without those potentially icy outside stairs. We have more meeting space and offices for our growing staff. And we all paid for this addition with 9 straight years of capital campaigns, which is a lot of years of capital campaigns, finally paying it all off a few years ago. So the church is now debt-free. And then last fall, I know, that's an exciting thing, we purchased the solar panels on the roof of our building. And now it's time to think about how we shape the next chapter. In a few weeks, we'll be launching a combined stewardship campaign that will both meet our annual operating needs and have funds on hand to maintain the building. This building, this part of it at least, is 56 years old now, and it's going to need some major repairs in the next few years. The repairs are not urgent today, but soon we will need a new roof here. We will need to better insulate our building. We'll need new water heaters. We will need to deal with the increasingly hot summers that make this room uncomfortable to be in pretty consistently in the summer. We'll need a solution for that, and a lot more. So if you want to see the full spreadsheet that will go into all the details, Tom Hackley is here. He'll be in the foyer after the service. He's our church treasurer, and he would love to go into spreadsheets with you about this. So if that's your cup of tea. He and others on the Finance Committee and Building and Grounds Committee, Mike Boltman especially, have made a detailed list of what we anticipate of everything in the building and its expected lifespan, and what we anticipate our needs will be. So we're looking at a cost of around $850,000 over the next 20 years in today's dollars, which is a lot, not an insurmountable a lot. Not the building is in such bad shape we need to move even further out from the city kind of situation, but we don't want to get in that situation. There's only so much our amazing building and grounds crew can do with duct tape, elbow grease, and Unitarian Universalist prayers. So if you want to step into the tradition of Silas Hubbard, our benefactor of 1894, and offer up a $750,000 gift, you're welcome to do that. Please don't make it contingent on us changing our name, because that is a real power move that, it's a thing. It's a choice they all made back then. There are two things that strike me most when looking at the whole history of the building of this church. The first is how People's People have contributed to it, giving money and lumber from their lumber mills or fundraising for the carpet cookbook by Cookbook. The small, generous choices together create this thing that none of us could accomplish alone, this community and this place. I also marvel at how this building has always been about more than the community that worships here. From caring for the kids so people could go to other churches, which is wild and generous and amazing, to housing a vocational school, to being a place where young women could socialize, to turning this room into a furniture warehouse. We have met the needs of community and responded to the moment that we are in. I can't even begin to imagine what we might be called on, what opportunities will present themselves over the next generations. But I know that with our generosity, this place can continue to be one of love's earthly homes. So there'll be more details about how we all do this later, but we are creating this next chapter. And that is a powerful tradition to step into. So may it be so. May we make it so. And amen. Y'all.
I invite you to rise and bow to your spirit one last time to sing our closing song together. As tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free, free from the bonds that bind the mind to narrow thought and lifeless greed, free from a social code that fails to serve the cause of human need, a freedom that reveres the past but trusts the dawning future more, and bids the soul in search of truth adventure boldly and explore. Prophetic church, your future waits, your liberating ministry. Go forward in the power of love, proclaim the truth that makes us free.
This hymn that we just sang was written about a century ago. And it became the theme song of the Unitarians and the Universalists combining together. So the two streams that merged together. It's not written for that, but people knew that is what it spoke to and how it met the moment. And we continue to sing it because it continues to call us to go out and do the work of love and justice in ways that our ancestors could not have anticipated, maybe in the ways we can't even anticipate, but in the ways the world is calling us to be. So let us go in peace and go in love.